And
Are we
we
live?
should be live.
Vamos.
I'm gonna get the link right now.
You know, Jason, I gotta say, I really look forward to these live streams.
Yep, me too.
You know, because we're so busy nowadays, you and I, with all the things that are going on. We don't even get a chance to just sit down and chop it up ourselves.
For sure, for sure.
Um, Bro, do you remember, like back in the day when we were just running the signals? I mean, sometimes, bro, we would just sit there and we would just talk for hours
Uh-huh.
about the most random stuff. I can just imagine, like going home. Oh, how was your day? It's a long, long discussion. All right.
Oh, we're getting back to those days again, I guess.
We're getting back to. Yeah, we are. Jason, start them off while I get everything going.
No worries. I'm sending it on Discord right now.
All right, I'm just getting EMC going, and then we will start chopping it up. Well, Jason, why don't you, once you're done with everything, to start the stream, let them know about. I think you should update that advertisement on the top right. You should let them know the ad we're currently running.
Oh yeah, let's get that. Let me get it.
What is that ad, Jason, that you want to let the world know about, huh?
50% off your first month with Excelsius. You use code 50 off.
Oh.
Okay, let me edit that real quick.
Are you done with everything?
Should be good. Ooh. I like my music today. Let's go.
You like your music today?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Jason. I know you're lacking today. The reason why I'm saying that is because did you go to the website yet?
Why? What's up?
Did you see the new updates of the website?
Let me
Just
check.
little adjustments last night I decided to do.
Might not have seen it then.
Go take a look real quick, Jason.
Ooh.
You like it? It makes it feel a little more modern.
Much cleaner, yeah?
Right?
Yes, sir.
Go to the Excelsius page in particular.
Uh-huh.
Just putting the borders around and just like kind of outlining a little more. It gives, and look at, did you see the pricing plans now, the way they look?
Yep.
What do you think, Jason?
Looks amazing.
Thank you, my man.
The borders do make a difference.
Completely changes the game. It's crazy. I don't know if you saw now the chat box. Click the chat real quick.
Uh-huh.
Look at the chat.
Ooh.
Change the colors, pink and blue. Put some border around there.
In the background.
Come on, Jason. Taking the brand to a new level.
Looks like a phone too. Wow.
Looks so good, right?
Yes, sir. I only had about 5 hours of sleep today. Sheesh.
How come?
Had to do some stuff. Had to stay up late. You know, the grind.
Working hard, huh?
Yep.
What you looking at, Jason?
I know, like majors this week, not so good. So I went to instead some crosses. Yeah, the crosses are more interesting. Ooh, that is not updated. What?
Just getting the last post in the story, and then I'll be good too.
No worries.
Dying over here.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Let's go, guys. Welcome back to another live stream. Jason and I are extremely excited to be here. We were just talking about it while we were getting everything set up. You know, ever since Pink Sand started, it's not even a year since it started, which it kind of feels like it's been 4. I think Jason would agree with that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Jason, it's only been 9 months. It's been a long 9 months.
It's been a long and short 9 months.
Facts.
I can't believe like next week it's already October.
Crazy. We started December 12th.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, we were just talking like because we don't really get that much time in general. Just really chop it up and go through the charts, and also just hang out a bit and talk about what's going on. So we're excited to be back. The only thing that I've been really predominantly on top of for the most part has been the cryptos and indexes, to be quite honest. The indexes you haven't really seen much change on. Here, let me just get into the Zoom real quick, and then I'll go ahead and share my screen.
No worries. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen now. 1 second. Yeah, it should be good.
All right. You are live.
So yeah, I mean, I've just been mainly watching indexes and cryptos for the most part. I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? Like, that FX trader, right? Like, I should be predominantly focused on FX. But I guess, because at this stage in the game, right? Like, no matter what we're trading, whether it's cryptos or indexes or FX, everything's mainly the same, like a chart is a chart in the end of the day. So yeah. I tend to just be a little bit more focused now in regards to kind of just what I'm invested in or what will just affect global economics, which forces equity market and what's going on. I definitely think it's very understandable on what's happening with price, definitely to start the week. We're definitely at some key points here, but I personally think that we're going to see further downside in the S&P. I think that there's just so much pressure in this latest leg. You saw the buyers, and this is important from a behavioral standpoint and what's happening with just equity market as a whole. Price attempts to correct out of itself in the short term here, but really fails to get above. And this is what's really lucrative, is just how quickly this just depleted any of those gains. Of course, it's understandable. You take a look to the left, where previous highs here, thanks to Excelsius, and also, you are at the previous lows. So, no question, orders are going to be coming into play here. But as we've talked about time and time again, orders are, indications. We can definitely see here with the volume profile, definitely for sure, just sitting in this region as well. You're going to see a lot of volume coming in, hence the initial reaction there. So I think that at some point things are definitely going to get shaken up. I think we're going to see further downside on this, at least down into this 3,200 handle, maybe even lower. And you got really good cyclical movements here, right? You got these quick, rapid, accelerated pullbacks as you do here, and then you get nice correction. So really nice. I think in the long term, you can definitely just expect further downside. And this was pretty obvious, once we did start to get through, this previous point at this 43.15 handle. No question, we're going to, and on top of establishing, what would be a downtrend too. So we'll see. We'll definitely see what's going to happen. But I definitely think you got 3,000 to 3,200 at minimum. And then I definitely think below that 3,000, 3,200 handle, you can definitely expect maybe further downside into that 2,000, 2,200 pre-COVID area. Do I think it's going to go lower than that? I think it's really difficult to say. But at the same time, it's very possible. When you really just start to up the charts here, yes, that 2,200 handle is the main point of contention. There's no question about that. And then you got intermediary levels underneath it. But the reason why this is such an important handle is because you just had so much money injected into the market right here at this given time. So without a doubt, you're going to be expecting some type of, turbulence in that point. But yeah, I mean, if I'm going to try to find it because I keep saying it, but I think we talked about this, in one of the live trading sessions back with the Legends. And I basically said this, which is, S&P will rally to about like 5K and then ultimately teeter off. And, we might get back to pre-COVID levels just because this whole thing here, it wasn't really economic growth as much as it was just such exasperated movements. So, not exasperated, but just synthetic. It was artificially pumped. So we'll see. And in turn, you have the crypto market that falls hand in hand. Being such a big crypto advocate, I would love to say that we're going to bottom out here, but I really think we're going to push lower. I think BTC is going to push, into that 10,000 range, maybe even lower. I think Ethereum's got really much the same situation at that point. The only one that's actually changing, funny enough, is XRP right now. But as we all know, XRP is a little bit more on its own. And if you actually take a look at XRP to BTC here, we are trying to change out of our just overall correlation towards it. So, it doesn't say that XRP won't fall when the rest of the market falls, but what it does mean is that it won't fall as hard as the market does, in fact, start to dip. So, right now it's just a waiting point, for algorithms and just automated trading solutions absolutely love this time just because volatility, creates opportunity, and it's definitely going to be a volatile time. FX, you're getting some really cool things happening here, like euros below $1, which is crazy. I mean, that's unbelievable. I thought I would have never seen something like this,
Yeah.
We should also change the title, Jason, instead of weekly outlook, make it something a little bit more exciting on the YouTube channel. Like you were doing in the past. Whatever you want. I don't know. What's going on today? Crypto market is rallying. Kind of. Something like that. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, you got some pretty historical movements taking place, but at the same time, you don't got anything too crazy going on here. But definitely, volatility is here. I know Excelsius has just been teetering off on the signal side. I mean, you look at this, like, that's just a pretty picture, to say the least. Just continued sales. And that's something that, we're really proud to say about Excelsius, that it's a non-bending algorithm in context to entries. Just because you get these small pullbacks doesn't mean that, we're going to start looking for buys. Pullbacks are not indicative of switching a direction. So, yeah. How about you, Jason? What do you think? What do you think about global economy and more so just what's currently going on in the Philippines, let alone, getting so hammered by the dollar? How are things going over there?
Yeah, it's actually quite bad in my country right now. We're reaching up to, so today we've reached another high of 59 pesos to $1,
Right.
and they're predicting that it could even reach up to 68. That would be really bad. The inflation which will now cause cause the prices of everything to go up, but salaries
what was
don't
going
go
on?
up.
2008 was the time for the Philippines. Let me tell you that.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Are people getting upset?
Yeah, they are. They're getting sad, getting scared, and people are getting really, hit so bad by the prices of everything now.
Do you feel like social unrest eventually will come out?
We might not be feeling it right now, but that could come. That could really come.
Have you ever had that in history?
I think there was a time, like, if you saw, we did reach like 60 before as well. So that was the time where it was like, oh shit, what's the government doing? And people complained. A lot of people complained, and it did get better. After that social unrest. A similar thing could happen, but we are not doing really good because our government is, trying to even procure more loans, increasing the Philippines debt, global debt. Yeah, it's getting really bad.
There's no bueno, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's a fault of everyone in the end of the day of why the global economy is structured in the way that it is. Because we all participate in it, It's definitely increasingly more a lot of the United States' fault in context to how they run their economic structure as well. That is no question. But unfortunately, and I'm not trying to say this in a mean way. I'm just saying for what it is. Like, countries like the Philippines or let's say like countries like Mexico and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
right? When the United States gets hurt a little bit, you guys get hurt at such a magnitude. It's like a tsunami for
Oh
you guys.
yeah, yeah.
It's unbelievable. I think personally, this is why crypto, for example, really proposes just in general for finance sides of things, right?
Yeah.
Just a completely different, you know, foot to move off of. I'm not saying that you wouldn't have similar issues, but it at least just kind of allows for the countries to kind of, not be so correlated and have such tied repercussions,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think you're only going to see further continuation for now. Are they talking about anything in the Philippines about any adjustments that they're going to make? I mean, like you look at, and especially like Excelsius, right, shows no signs of slowing down.
Yeah.
They've just been teetering off with all the signals. But has the government come out and said that they're going to make any changes?
Well, not that I know of. Actually, like that's a big issue, and people
Right.
have been asking the president like, what does he plan to do about the increase of or the value decreasing even more, and there hasn't been an official statement yet that I know of.
Right.
So, like right now we're just waiting for it to even just go higher. So
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get these continued pullbacks, right? In which, it'll give a little bit of relief for everyone that's kind of correlated. But, you know, until we can kind of start putting some steam off of this, and we've been talking about this for a very long time, just kind of looking at equity market as a whole and the relation that it has, until this changes, until this
mhm.
environment changes, until we can start to move into either more of just a slowdown, pace, this ultimately just warrants further intensity on all of the cross correlations that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Cryptos and anyone else, FX for that matter, right? So as a trader, once again, it makes things incredibly lucrative if you know what you're doing. But as investors or just people that are not exposed to markets, you're just unfortunately at you're just at a disadvantage, and it goes back down into why we talk about all the time. It's necessary. It's absolutely a necessity to have a skill set to be able to move in the market. Whether you move at a passive or active manner, you want to know how to move, because in the end of the day, by knowing, for example, obviously you can load up Excelsius, and Excelsius in the end of the day is going to make life so much easier for you. But still, it's not meant to be in the driver's seat, as we preach time and time again. Just knowing, for example, hey, markets might be shifting in the short term. Hey, we've actually developed a 4-point downtrend. We're actually developing some bearish pressure here, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is time for me to not, be so active in the investment phase, or maybe this is time for me to liquidate. Um, Ultimately, this is why it's incredibly important that people make it a point to, acquire the skill set, solely because otherwise you're at the hands of everyone else. And
Yep.
that's kind of just a really shitty feeling
Yep.
in all honesty. So, Wolfpack Trader was saying rates going up. CV Consumer Confidence Index, which experts expected to be a record 104.5 points for September, and the month of September witnessed the Federal Reserve raising interest rates for the third time in a row to reach 3.25%, which is the highest since the crisis. Well, even if you look at this, right, and like, I'm going to show you guys something here real quick. So take a look at this, right? I'm going to bring this other, can you guys see this? Can you see that, Jason?
Yep.
Yeah, everyone can see that. Oh, nope, that is the wrong debt clock that I want to take a look at. Um, yep, here we go. This is what I want to show you guys. All right. So when we take a look at something like this, right, this is incredibly important to be mindful of. And this is not exact, but I think this is just a good measurement in the end of the day of where we're at in context to it all. And let's zoom in here a little bit and just really take a look at what the numbers are. The biggest thing to be mindful of is this, right? This is so important. And, you know, kind of reflecting, for example, depressionary time periods, you know, and then now we are almost 4 times the size of the debt to GDP ratio than we were where we were in the Great Depression. Obviously, we're in a much different economic environment, and that's completely understandable. But it just alludes to the tsunami that comes with it. And I can't stress enough how potentially scary that is, just in context to the way behavior was when COVID hit here and the world rallied.
Yeah.
You know, like, especially, and I can't speak for other countries, but especially here in the United States, and not even getting political on it, just speaking for what happened, everyone in the country here went absolutely berserk, like went crazy. You know, everyone just started disliking each other and just having all these just back and forths. And the economy was in a really okay state. I mean, it was synthetic and it was artificial, but you know what? There was a lot of money flowing around. No one was getting hurt for the time being, but yet society really went to shit. And now, you know, here we are. And like we were just talking about earlier in the stream, I really expect price to come down in the intermediary, at least down to that pre-COVID handle, and then we'll kind of see what happens near there. Price getting down to here, that's a big thing, right? That's a big environment, you know? But at the same time, it's very much expected too, you know? We very much know that a lot of this was artificial. And so in reality, having this run, you know, shout out to those that got involved, shout out to those that benefited from it, but it is not real, you know, and it might have been the cherry on top to kind of push everything over and ultimately say this is the great correction. That's something that I call it. I call it the great correction, you know. You take a look at this from a much deeper perspective, you know, from a quarterly standpoint or a bi-quarterly, you know, a bi-yearly. At some point, you have to have some type of serious, significant correction.
Yeah.
You know, let's go back real quick, guys, to I think if I just type in SPX over here, pull this up, we're gonna get all the data. There we are. So here's all the data. You know, if we're looking at this from a really long-term standpoint, you are no question expected at some point. Let's get rid of all these drawings too. You are no question expected at some point to pull back into these regions, right? And it's just healthy, right? You know, you look at a market that has just continued to appreciate, you know, as much as it has, right? At some point, you're going to get a correction. You know, the reason why just 08 felt so much larger than any of the other corrections in the end of the day was just because of the sheer growth and just overall, you know, just development that took place economically, right? Moving into the 90s, early 2000s, that whole tech environment. And then we created such problems here, because we refused to let anything happen. And then you get this whole artificial movement once again. So, you know, I'll tell you this though, I have been wrong time and time again on the ideas of it when it comes more down to the equity side of things, just because of how fundamentally rooted it is, and if they can, you know, really apply enough pressure, they can get an adjustment on price. But you know, I think at this point right now, it's going to get to that point. It's kind of like a drug, right? as you do more and more and more of it, you eventually build a tolerance to that given drug. QE, quantitative easing, the process of printing money and artificially pumping liquidity into the market, eventually the market's going to get more and more and more tolerant of this, and with time, the effect does not, work the same. So what's the Federal Reserve going to do? Pump $10 trillion the next time? They're going to pump $50 trillion the next time? They can't, right? So at some point, can expect that great correction. Like I said, I think for the intermediary, you're definitely expecting price to come down to that 2,000 handle. I think for the short term, you could have price pull down into 3,200, 3,000. But definitely when you look at this more from an intraday standpoint, weekly, daily, and so forth, you definitely can see just where the key levels sit. There's no question right now we're definitely descending, and just as we were talking about in the beginning of the stream, the way that this thing just came back and reversed just any of its gains, it attempted to correct out, and I'll change the color here real quick. It attempted to correct out of this descending pressure in here, and once it did and just really reversed all of that once again, it's just pretty indicative of where that sentiment is, where that pressure is, just providing more liquidity for the market. So like I said, short term, really looking at that 3,000, 3,100 handle once we can start cracking these lows, which also is in context with its previous highs. You're definitely expecting further downside. And then at some point, we're expecting something like this. And terrible drawings. That's what happens when you don't teach anymore. And yeah, all markets will be correlated, associated. You'll have some coins like XRP, for example, that are maybe not going to be as heavily tied regardless of what happens, because this is, now has something pending on it, like the SEC case. But for the most part, I think, though, it's definitely an opportunistic time if you know how to move. I tell people time and time again, if you could go back into the 2000s, what would you have done? Would you have done anything different? And they're like, yeah, I would have bought, Facebook and Netflix and all of these things, and I would have done this and I would have done that, and all of this stuff. And I asked them now, I said, well, the future seems pretty obvious in context to where we're moving. Obviously there's such a higher demand now for space and just the exploration of that. Obviously there is a new just drive for this evolution of what social media is, which is the metaverse and augmented reality. So prices are going to depreciate, prices are going to drop, and then of course you have this new financial evolution, which is blockchain and what it can do. So it does become opportunistic, right? It does, in the end of the day, really provide tremendous amount of opportunity for those that are going to be patient. A lot of times, like for example, I go to the dog park all the time, almost every day, and I hear people talking all the time. A lot of people, like for example, they are short the market right now, or they're trying to make gains on both sides, and I never really tell anyone that it's a bad idea to try to trade both sides, but you can't look at any of these environments or these things as like, this is going to be my home run, this is going to be my ride or die. Yeah. Right? And so biggest thing is just plan and give yourself room to plan in context of time, right? Don't say it has to happen right here, right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of stuff is going to happen in the next couple months.
Do you think that what we talked about is about to come, which is the economic resets?
Timing's important, very important. I don't know, right? Like, what if Putin, for example, really goes off the wall? He's like, we're going to a nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, but they already did something that we haven't talked about, right? Which is not like nuclear war, which is the the new reserve currency. So, how does that work? Now that they're planning to make, this new reserve currency, does that make the dollar shit?
Well, no, because use case is what gives anything value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, um, take like MetaTrader and TradingView, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, TradingView came out, and TradingView, by no question, is a better platform than MetaTrader. And anyone who argues otherwise is just under a rock. It's just the facts, like in total of applications and utility and use case and all of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But does that mean that MetaTrader is obsolete?
No.
Right. But the moment that, not a lot of people are using MetaTrader, by the way, MetaTrader got banned on the App Store, I heard.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was
Crazy,
actually
right?
Russian based.
I didn't know either.
Like, what the fuck, right? You learn something new
Yeah,
every day.
that's pretty crazy, but yeah, so use cases is really the biggest thing. I think, the United States has been so delayed on the basis of what has been happening from a currency development. China, again, just, the world likes to talk a lot of shit on the way that their government is operated. But I'll tell you this, they are fucking ahead of the game always. Always. Especially in this new digital era.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of crazy, but the monetary system is up for grabs moving into this next couple of decades. Yes. To say a great reset is difficult to say because you have to first say that the United States is no longer running the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then, after you remove the United States as the key players of the game, then you ask, well, who is the key player then?
Yeah.
Now, I think the other thing to be mindful of as well is that I think the rest of the world will do whatever it takes to make sure that this doesn't happen as bad as it could happen. But
Mm-hmm.
it's so tough to tell right now. Things are still so early in development, and I think that is really the big thing just to kind of get to because, prices right now are still in its infancy stages and in all aspects. But yeah, there is a door open right now. There is a door open. I think without being so much into it, I can't give like exact details on how it could happen or why I would be leaning more towards one way or the other. But what I can say for certain is that we have to be in probably the most innovative time of the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think we realize, but take like the iPod, for example. Right? We're not even the iPod. Whoever is the person who took, CDs, and those big CDs, what are they called? Vinyls, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And record players, right? Records and all that, and put them on, digital, right? And then eventually to put that digital and put it in your phone. And then eventually to have that transition into like streaming and
Yeah.
things like that, right? Like, what I'm using that as one example because that concept is revolutionary. It's legendary. And I think just we're moving into that same field once again. Like, I speak about this all the time. Like, people are like, well, meta shit and da-da-da and these whole things and the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, in the end of the day, right, they're just really developing into the future that may or may not be here right now, but the use case of utility will revolutionize the world. They're like, well, give me an example. I go, well, what if you could speak with someone in a completely other country and have a universal translator? And that would completely revolutionized the global economy overnight.
Yeah.
The fact that you can communicate, I can speak to someone in India and speak English and gets translated into Punjab and vice versa.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know, um, it's just one utility, right? That's revolutionary. That means that you can speak to anyone in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so to answer your question, like, do I think the great economic reset's coming? Maybe. I'm not that good of an economist to say that. You know, like I pride my skills on being able to read price discrepancy and, you know, what the charts are telling us, which is a reflection of sentiment. But for future economic outlooks, I think the facts are that things are burning, things are on fire. And I think anything is possible. I think anything is possible. But I think we are in a revolutionary time. And I think the companies are very obvious for those that are moving in that revolutionary stance. You know,
It's like,
I mean,
let's say they finally develop this, right? First off, it's just gonna be a new reserve currency for China and Russia and their allies, whoever the allies are, right? And it's gonna take a few more steps where they need to be recognized by the world, right? So like, I don't know, things could happen if that does
well,
occur.
let's be real here. And I'm not trying to say this to be mean,
Mm,
but Russia's a gas station to begin with.
yeah.
That's all they are. They're just a gas station. All right. Secondly, the world has showcased how much control it has amongst the world. Like, when Russia started this shit with Ukraine, the whole
Mm-hmm.
world said we're gonna annex Russia, and they did overnight. I mean, they sunk the economy overnight.
Yeah.
You know, was the MEX that the no? What's the what is the Russian index?
I have no idea.
What?
I have no idea. Let me see.
There it is, right here.
Ah.
I mean, they sunk it.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely sunk, especially in 3 days. They caused a 60% collapse. You know, so I don't know. Let's play some hypotheticals. They create a reserve currency. Okay, well, if the rest of the world doesn't use it,
Exactly.
you know.
Like,
But I will say this: in the short term, China needs us more than we need them. In the long term, we need them more than they need us. So it's a double-edged sword.
yeah.
The only way like something like that works is like eventually like we move into a world where they're not part of the global economy, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, because
That would be saying,
China's economy
they're creating their own world.
doesn't work. Like it's kind of really a double-edged sword. But like China's economy doesn't work without a capitalistic society to buy from.
Mm-hmm.
So if they shun the capitalistic society that very much fuels them, they would have to like work for the next 10, 15 years developing their own environment, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like once again, like I don't know enough. Even though I'm an economics major, I didn't read any of the books, so I don't know. But I mean, that'd be kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows? Might be saying in like 10, 15 years, Jason, we might be speaking Russian, Chinese, Mandarin, and Russian. You know?
Yeah. But throughout history, right? Throughout history, there have been a lot of
I can totally see
changes
Jason
and
getting
new
on the
reserve
call and
currency,
being
right?
like, Jason, get on the call, like, ni hao. Go ahead, you were saying?
Yeah,
It's
like
so
throughout
funny.
history, right? There have been like numerous reserve currencies, like global reserve currencies, and right now we have the dollar. So is it the dollar's time to take a step down? And when it does, like what are the changes that comes?
I don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe third world countries get a breather
Mm-hmm.
because of how affected they are.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. Like that's such a good question, right? Like no one likes change, right? Everyone's just like,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
let the United States be bullies, and that's that. You know what I mean? It's like how the whole world's been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jason, I just remembered. Like, remember when you were a teacher back in the day? Like, I feel like your students would be like, "See, our time has come." Crazy, bro. I'm right.
Yeah.
They've been prepping this whole time, Jason.
My God.
Maybe one day you'll tell the story on the pod.
Probably.
That shit's so funny. That's so crazy. I don't know, bro. I mean, look, I'll tell you this, and I can't stress this enough. Further shit is coming. I mean, look at the charts.
Yeah.
They look awful.
Yeah.
They look awful.
Terrible.
Terrible. Terrible. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really don't know. Trying to just give a little forecast. Like, I think like another one of like, oops, that is. What is that? Failure?
I have no
It's a
idea.
new one. Something like this. It's basically what you got. Damn, if something like that happened, who's to say? Could you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Jason's like, mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Could you imagine?
Well.
If some shit like this happened, we better all strap up and get ready for war.
Yeah. Fuck.
We're going back into the days where we fend for our own shit. There's no laws, no society, no morality. It is survival of the fittest.
People think that World War III will be a war between countries again, right? But like what you
It's gonna
said,
be a war against.
it's gonna be
It's gonna be a civil war. It's gonna be a global
exactly.
civil war.
It's a war against yourself, themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to the
Literally, because
restroom really
you're
quick.
not gonna be worrying about your neighboring country. You're gonna be worrying about your neighbor.
Yeah.
You're gonna be worrying about your neighbor. You know,
This dude stole my tomatoes.
literally, literally, bro. What happened to Jeff over there? Huh? Jeff got attacked because someone went into his house. Like, my God.
I have to go to the restroom really quick.
What's going on the DXY on the 30? Wolfpack trading. What do you say? Or what are you seeing for the matter? Appreciate all the people, by the way, joining in. Let me know what you see on DXY on the 30. If anyone else who's here has a pair that they want to be seeing broken down or analyzed as well, that is always on the table. Never forget that. Shout out to Neo, by the way. It's rallying. So, but yeah, guys, if there's anything you want to see broken down, let Jason and I know, and we'll make it happen. But yeah, I mean, all in all, guys, it's kind of in consolidated points right now, and so something changes, all you can expect is further range-bound environments. Also, like Jason said earlier on the call, if you guys are not aware, we are currently running a 50% discount for your first month. Use code 50OFF to get 50% off your first month. Let's take a look. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're looking to, further break these points here. It definitely is looking like it's going to correct out a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see Excelsius here, until we start breaking some of these key points over here. You're not going to really be expecting any type of, shifts on that side. So when we start looking at this from a larger term standpoint, you can see the rallies are very, very cyclical. Let's see if we could throw a little behavioral analysis on this real quick. Where's my toolbar? It's over here. Now let's just see how long on average these rallies are for. Wow, that's a weird color. Orange. It's an interesting hint. 4.25, which was a little longer. Again, a little longer. You guys noticing a pattern here? Actually, this one is really long. I'm just measuring all the pullbacks of this. Let's go to much. Yeah, so let's do this instead. I mean, on average, they rally for about 7-8%. This one went a little bit, but didn't really get as significant of a pullback and is still going. One thing's for sure, though, and you can definitely see that just in the pushes. We could definitely expect further rally. You can definitely see here pushing around 7 and change. This definitely could happen in it, but it doesn't change anything. I mean, you're still looking for further upside. When you do get these corrections, they're just really, really easy to play. Just look for them to correct and go. Like, I'm sure this one here, we drop down into like the one. Throw on the market structure candles, market structure levels. Let's get it going real quick. I don't know why my Excelsius is loading so slow. Once we broke, it's a huge correction, probably because of the news on Wednesday. Put your stops and go out and just target for new highs and go. It's definitely going to play out. Once highs break there, once this starts to break, you can start to adjust your stops if you want. Once you break that higher high right there, you could, at this point, you could just put your stops to break even or in profit and then just let it run. Would you have gotten taken out? No, you wouldn't have. So this one, you could have just ran, put your stops at break even, and you still would have never been taken out. You just kept running. So definitely a possibility. Any last minute pairs or questions that you had for Jason and I before we run off on today's stream? Typically, we like to get these streams out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the 10 a.m. time. Unfortunately, yesterday we did have some technical difficulties, so that's why we weren't able to get the stream on. Yeah, guys, tomorrow we're going to definitely be knocking one out as well. Shout out to Neo for making its little 10% jump, which is cool. Jason, anything else you want to leave the legend before we run off?
Oh, other than we have a 50% off
Right. Let
discount
him know about the
for your
deal.
free month.
Let him
So
know.
this is our very first promo in a while for Excelsius, and we haven't had any promos because yeah, we had trouble setting them up, but now we are running them. And yeah, for the first month you get 50% off. And I think today we had quite a few signups, so we're gonna be getting, more people to use Excelsius.
Gotta love the website, the way it looks.
Yeah.
That's really good, huh? Just click this, go here,
And use
coupon code
50 off.
50 off. Get you $25 off your first month. And with that, guys, that is going to conclude today's live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, guys, tomorrow we're going to be back on 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in. Keep rocking and rolling. Keep shining. Keep grinding. Go get the deal. And go experience the advantage. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.